Welcome to News Alert on Capital Television.
Workers of the pharmacy department of the Korle-Bu Teaching Hospital have locked horns with the board of directors of the hospital on new directives issued by the board concerning the department's revolving fund. The latest brouhaha has reinforced the many allegations of corruption and mismanagement leveled against the CEO and the board by a section of the workers of the hospital. In an exclusive interview with Capital TV, Mr. Raymond Tete, the spokesperson for the department, explained the revolving fund and how it operates.
We are just trying to protect the revolving drug accounts. Now, this was a policy that the Ministry of Health decided when we started the cash and carry to ensure that drugs are almost always available. So an initial funding was provided for us to stock, and then after some time no governmental support was provided in terms of financial resources for the procurement of drugs. So this account was revolved over the years with a markup that we put on drugs, and then the amount grew so that it protected government from having to spend money all the time on drugs. Now, to protect the account, the Ministry of Health decided that the lead pharmacist or the director of pharmacy of any health institution should be a mandatory signatory to the account. Now, irrespective of the director of pharmacy signing, the chief executive or the medical superintendent and then the director of finance or the one in charge of finance will also sign. Okay, but the two cannot sign if the director of pharmacy hasn't signed. The idea being that the monies must not be used for any other activity apart from drugs. Management has taken the decision, together with board, that the director of pharmacy should not be a mandatory signatory to the account. So what it means is that the director of finance and the chief executive can sign on the blind side of pharmacy, and we don't think that is proper.
Mr. Raymond Tete expressed worry at the level of mismanagement of the hospital and the negative publicity associated with it.
Generally, such negative reports is not appropriate. Cars are being bought and there are issues with it because all of us have the ability or the opportunity to go and procure these cars and pay for them. It's a facility which the Ministry of Health is offering. So if directors also want, their salaries are even fatter. They can also go and apply and pay monthly for 5 to 7 years. So why should the internally generated monies that we are making should be used to buy them a cars, and then they will use the internal generated monies to pay?
He said if nothing is done to reverse the changes in the signatories of the fund by Friday, the workers of the pharmacy department would not cooperate with the CEO and the board of directors.
By Friday, we have not received the messy reports, and they still maintain their stand of, going ahead. They've taken the checks from us to issue the checks on their own without the director of pharmacy being a signatory to the account. Then we are sorry, we cannot continue to cooperate with them.
The Metropolitan Chief Executive of Kumasi has hinted that his administration is considering a waste-to-energy project which will save the environment from filth and diseases associated with it. Briefing the media, Mayor Kojo Bonsu said his administration is doing the cost-benefit analysis of the waste-to-energy project to see how beneficial it would be before implementation.
A proposal is about yemfa enya energy na energy no wia ne buo no na o se ehwe sana ebo no so no ye wia enko emma kroma no entimi ento energy na so ni fa so nti o se e pe we a ye be a ebetima ma kroma no timetua energy na electricity for kwato energy from betimi aton ama obi a na to say ye edi eguso ayaje potential no power betimi a generate enough electricity and power or energy for biodiesel and a lot of things but at the end we are so far the price no ye ni.
He disclosed this when he visited Kumasi landfill site to inspect a program initiated by the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly to spray the site to reduce the breeding of flies and stench that affects residents of Atonsu and its surroundings.
Me be a twembia no ye be hwe ha say ye spray so man tontom man wansra e kana wa ha no en fire manipa ejima hwa ya ba ha no e ba be check say nsuo to ntinia na ese no mo eji ya ba ha no ya ba be hwe say spray no mo ye no eni no no mdi gusu no bibia ye kama emma yare bia ma mobile so ye hu so mo ye adwuma no ye spray so kum wansra kum tontom kum yare ba nyina e wo so eti ya ba ya ba be check keke because of nsuo no to na ye ba ya so no bibia e ko kama wa.
The Chief Executive Officer of the National Youth Authority has called for the review of Ghana's educational policy and direction, saying the introduction of entrepreneurship in the early stages of development was a sure way in solving the nation's unemployment problems. Mr. Ras Mubarak, in an interview with Capital TV, urged the youth to go less relationship with sexual activities that put their lives in danger and hamper their future.
The approach in our respective institutions from primary level to the universities would have to change. There's got to be a sense of enterprise. I'm a social democrat, but I believe that enterprise would be key to solving some of the challenges we're facing. Government everywhere is in no position to provide all the jobs for the people. So it's not possible. So what we need to do is to get more younger people interested in startups, starting their own businesses, doing their own thing, than finishing school and sitting down and waiting for government to give them a job. That way, you would have young people who are moving from dependents and becoming givers. You would have young people who are moving from becoming job seekers into becoming job givers. Because if you are a young person and you start your own business, you're going to hire at least 1 or 2 persons. You are your own boss. And because that business belongs to you, you would look after it properly.
Speaking on the operations of his outfit, Ras Mubarak said the Youth Authority is mandated to facilitate youth development, build capacity and provide platform for youth to compete favorably on the job market locally and internationally. Ras Mubarak advised citizens not to throw away their cultural values in the name of modernity.
So what we do is we facilitate youth development. We build capacity, and provide the platform upon which young people could sit and move forward, and our focus since I've been in office for the last 7 months has been, one, to develop and finish our National Youth Policy Implementation Plan. If you would recall, His Excellency President Mahama, then Vice President Mahama in 2010, launched the National Youth Policy. Certain processes had been put in place for the implementation plan, but it couldn't materialize. And when I assumed the office, one of the things that we focused on heavily was to have a planned out go with a policy, because you can't have a policy without an action plan. So fortunately for us, we now have a plan that is guiding us between now and 2017, where we have specific targets and timelines and budgets on how we want to carry out our activities.
Founding President and Chief Executive Officer of policy think tank Imani Ghana, Franklin Kujo, has stated that Ghana Revenue Authority needs to immediately withdraw the list of non-core banking taxable charges on banking services in the country. Franklin Kujo expressed worry over the list, which falls under the 17.5% valued added tax and national health insurance levy. The GRA, in a letter to bankers and banks, said the insurance of the new taxes will commence on July 1st this year. The amendment of the VAT law last November expanded the scope of the tax and raised the rate from 15%, including national health insurance levy, to 17.5%. Some financial services, which hitherto had been exempted from VAT, will now start charging VAT next month. The list of financial services that attract the 17.5% tax includes bank drafts, current accounts, both foreign and local, stopped checks, returned checks, remote banking services including online banking, e-statements, e-clients, SMS, amongst others. The head of policy think tank Imani said he expected the bank to raise the red flags that in an economy where a lot of people are unbanked, this was not the way to go, adding the new directive is akin to the introduction of the condom tax, which was withdrawn subsequently due to strong opposition from the citizenry. With barely 24 hours to the kick-off of the World Cup, Capital News could report that the enthusiasm of Ghanaians on the streets of Accra is on the low side compared to previous years. The streets of Accra did not have the same waving of flags and the sounds of vuvuzela which characterized the 2010 tournament staged in South Africa. However, many people were optimistic that the team representing the country would put up sterling performance. They believed the individual players have the skill and ability to bring glory to Ghana.
Coach no na yede adwuma na hye ne nsa no nso na monitor wo nti wono na nim selection wa ya wode ni players e ko nti yem nyina yem fampa bonta na echi minim se Ghana de nyame eta echi nti bibia be koyi since 2010 de no
Ghana players ne de omnra players a emi se ewiase na hwehwe bibia firi omhonom kwasi apia wa yade so atusu players we yama Ghana ye ni bia obabia ne wa na kwasi apia de amaye no tie nyina ye mompa ye nta omachi se yare bia ne opra bia mam ne bebwa ko babia nyankopon pese edu
blaster de afiwe de me wani da so pa se cap no baba Ghana.
Oh, they say the enya me the team no de ombebo modern pa because they say na yatimi a share South Korea for 4 years ne de ye did say e betima a share obia e wo ho.
Sure, I'm yeah, squad didn't say last 4 years then, but yeah, sure. Players almost be sure he match any South Korea for boy yeah. Share the way almost ball now. The World Cup.
It is believed the level of enthusiasm will grow as Ghana's first match approaches. Meanwhile, Ghana's jerseys for the 2014 World Cup has been ranked the best kit among the 32 countries participating in this year's tournament. The ranking described the jersey as having originality due to the unique design around the color, as well as the sleeve curves inspired by the kente cloth design. The government and rebels in South Sudan have agreed to end fighting and form a transitional government within 60 days, Ethiopia says. The regional IGAD blog mediating the conflict has threatened sanctions if they fail to abide by the agreement. It follows a rare meeting between President Salva Kiir and rebel chief Riek Machar in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Previous deals to end the violence have broken by both sides, compounding the worsening humanitarian crisis. Thousands have now died in the conflict that started as a political dispute between Mr. Kiir and his sacked deputy Mr. Machar, but has escalated into ethnic violence. More than 1 million people have fled their homes since fighting erupted last December.
Dennis Neya, mayor of San Marino, California, who doesn't own a dog, has apologized for throwing feces of a dog into an activist front yard. Political disputes often involve a bit of mud slanging, but the mayor of a wealthy LA suburb is in hot waters for throwing dog poo into a local activist garden. Dennis Neyer has apologized after being caught on CCTV throwing the bag of a dog waste onto the front lawn of Philip Lyle.
That ends News Alert on Capital Television.